Hi, everybody. It's very nice to see all of you here. My name is Emily Van Hoff. I am artist and designer in Chicago, and I've been teaching these classes in partnership with Fiskars and Michaels this year. Today's class are these color block zipper pouches, which are expandable to fit all of your stuff. So it will be a fun, quick project today. I will keep an eye on the chat as we go. So if you have any questions, you can throw those in there. We also have Tia here, who is a representative from Fiskars. And if you have any questions relating to the tools that I'm using, she would be happy to answer those. And then she'll also be putting a link to my blog post for this class in the chat as well. And all of the measurements and things that you'll need will be in that post if you need to refer back to it at any point. I think that is everything that I need to go over before we get started. So I think we can just jump right in and get going. If I switch to the overhead view here. Let's see. The first step is just going to be cutting our main fabric to size. I'm using a canvas for the main part of it. And I've mostly been using the natural colored canvas, but I'm very excited about this black one that I made earlier today. So that is an option as well. The size that we're cutting this to is 18.5 by 11.5. I'm just going to line that up here. Just got a frame here, sorry. So that's the 18.5 side. Then line it up over here at 11.5. That's our main piece. For the binding pieces that go on either end here, we are gonna start with, we need two pieces that are 2 1/4 inches by 8 inches. I'll line those up. Here, again, 2 1/4 inches in this direction, and then approximately 8 inches this way. We'll do the same thing. Make sure my ends are squared. Yeah, it should be 8 inches this way. All right, so those are the end binding pieces. And then for these little colored, they're like the blue tabs on the end of the zipper. We need 4 squares that are 2 inches. I'm using light pink for those this time. So start with a strip that's 2 inches wide, and then smaller one here. We'll need 2 for each end, so that's a total of 4. Scraps out of here. We will also need 2 pieces of ribbon. These are going to be 12 inches each, and I'm using a 5/8 inch grosgrain for this. And I'm using all of the colors because it's more fun that way. And then also need a 6-inch piece of paracord. Could also use some ribbon of some kind. And I'm using this, just kind of lightly burn the end so it doesn't fray. And that piece is going to be for this little tab here. And then we've got a 9-inch zipper, and I believe those are all of our pieces. So I'll go over one more time everything that we've got. This is an 18.5 by 11.5 inch rectangle. These are 2 1/4 by 8. We've got 4 of the 2-inch squares. 2 pieces of ribbon that are 12 inches, paracord, which is 6 inches on our zipper. I think that is all of the pieces that we will need. So our first step is going to be sewing our little zipper tabs on. Make this a little bit closer. So to do that, we're just going to line up this guy along one of the edges, nice and square in the center. I'm just going to put a couple of pins in there so it doesn't slide around. And then take another piece and just layer that right on top. And we are going to sew along this edge a 1/2 inch in. Pull my sewing machine in here. All right, so line that up at about a 1/2 inch from the edge. Across. I'm using like a neon green thread because you'll see the top stitching on some later steps. So it might be kind of hard to see here, but we're going to take those pieces and fold them down and just iron that up real quick. And then we'll repeat the same thing with the zipper end. With this end, I find it useful to unzip your zipper a little ways and line those ends up neatly. Like so, throw another pin in there. And then layer this piece on top, and again, sew a 1/2 inch from the edge. can see 1/2 inch from the edge there, and then we'll flip them up like that and iron it flat. These little zipper tabs on the end here are larger than we're gonna need, so it's okay. They're like not quite perfect. We'll be cutting off some excess anyway. Next, we're gonna sew the zipper onto the shorter end of our main piece. And you're gonna line it up with the like functional zipper side facing up. Keep it just about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge of your fabric. Make sure it's centered, so there's an equal amount of the little tab hanging off either end. Throw a couple pins in there. And if your zipper pull gets in the way while you're sewing, you can always like unzip it partway until you get up to about here and then zip it back past. I'll start with mine down a little bit. If it's helpful, you can cut this extra bit of your tab off before you sew. You could also do that after you sew the line. It doesn't really matter. It's probably a little bit easier to do it beforehand. Okay, so once you got it pinned on, we're gonna sew quite close to the edge of your zipper tape, probably like 1/8 of an inch or so from the edge there. You can use a zipper foot if you want. I'm just gonna move my needle position all the way over, which also works pretty well. Just sew straight down. All right, so you can see my line is like pretty close to the edge of the zipper tape. We are going to cover that stitching that we just did with a piece of a ribbon. So put your ribbon over the edge so that you're just covering that stitching line. Probably could have used darker thread here. Put that ribbon so you're just covering your stitching. Throw a couple more pins in there to hold it in place. Actually, I don't know how much pins are going to help here because it's close to the edge. And I'm just going to hold it. And we're going to top stitch on top of this ribbon real close to the edge closest to the zipper. Okay, so we got a line of top stitching in there. Real close. We've covered the stitching that we first did to sew the zipper on. Next, we are going to take the zipper and flip it over so that the ribbon is now over top of our main canvas fabric. And then we will iron that flat. So you can see this is the back. We just have like a nice clean folded over piece on that side. And on this side, we've got our ribbon and we're gonna encase the seam on the inside of that ribbon. So the next step is to top stitch along this remaining side of the ribbon to attach the ribbon to the main fabric here. So I'm gonna do that. All right. So now you can see we've got the ribbon here with top stitching on either side. And then on the back, we just see the one line of stitching and all of our seams are encased inside of the ribbon. So we'll repeat the same thing on the opposite side. Someone asking to share the pattern. All of the measurements will be in that blog post. You can see that link a couple above there. And there's no actual pattern, it's just a list of measurements because they're just rectangles and squares. Okay, so to do the other side of the zipper, I've just folded the zipper over the piece of fabric in half. Make sure your top and bottom are matched up on top of each other. And we're gonna pin about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge of your fabric again. All right, so once you've got that pinned, we will stitch again real close to the edge of the zipper tape here. I'm gonna trim off. Oops, pin in there, do not cut your pins. All right, so sewing close to the zipper tape edge on here. wanted to make / use binding instead of ribbon. Let's see, how wide would you put that? If you kind of turned it into like a bias tape, I would just make the sort of finish width of the bias tape about 5/8 of an inch. If you wanted to use that instead of ribbon. So, okay, we got top stitching along here. We're gonna take our other ribbon. And again, we are just gonna cover that line of stitching that we just did with the ribbon and top stitch close to the side of the ribbon that is closest to the zipper. So along this side here. Okay, so we did the top stitching. Now we're gonna sort of flatten this edge of the zipper down and iron that. So I'm gonna do that. Okay, so that's laying flat now. Would prefer to hear the sound of the sewing machine. I think the Zoom must just kind of edit background noise like that out because I'm not doing anything to make it go away. All right, so we've got this tube now. We ironed our ribbon flat to this side and we need to sew top stitch along this side of the ribbon. And this is the trickiest part because we can't just sew it flat or you're going to sew through to the back of the other side of your tube. So what I found works best is flipping this whole tube inside out. And then we're going to put it in the sewing machine like this. And you've got to kind of like really bunch it up as you go, but you can make it all the way to the other side that way. If that gets too annoying, you can just kind of do the same thing, stitch it halfway, back stitch a couple of stitches, and then take it out of your machine, flip it around, and start from the other side and finish it that way. I think that makes sense. So yes, top stitching here. You can see, how well can we see this on here? Kind of. You just gotta be careful that you're not sewing through any fabric you don't want to sew through. Make sure everything's laying flat. The beginning bit is not so bad. And towards the end here, it gets like pretty bunched up, but you hold so you can kind of see inside the tube and just bunch your fabric up a lot so you can find it. You can see and make it all the way to the end. That was a little bit hard to explain. If that didn't make sense to anyone, let me know. But once you've done that, you can flip it back right side out. And now we've got top stitching happening on both sides of both of the ribbons. And then on the back, we've got just, you can see just the one line of stitching here, and all of our seams are encased inside of the ribbon. So, finished the zipper. Next we move on to sort of assembling the rest of this guy. I'm gonna cut off this little extra bit here that extends past the main fabric. Get that out of our way. And clean up any loose threads you might have going on. So next we want to find the center back of our tube here. So I'm going to fold it with the zipper on one end, and this is halfway through the back, and I'm just going to stick a pin where that fold is. So we know where the halfway point is. And then I'm going to line up the middle of this little zipper tab with that pin. And do the same on the bottom here. And pin that in place. Next, we're going to put our little sort of loop pull thing right in the center of that pull tab. So I'm going to pin that in place. I've got the ends lined up with the edge of my fabric and the rest of the loop facing the zipper here. We're going to center that within the pull tab space. And then I'm going to tack that in place. I'm just going to kind of go back and forth over top of that a couple of times. And I'm going to do it just kind of like just shy of a ½ inch from the end. I will go ahead and do that. So I just went back and forth over that a couple times to hold it in place while we finish assembling everything else. Next, we are going to fold in the edges to make the little expanding accordion fold thing. I will show you again how that works on this bag. So we've got this sort of folded gusset here that lets it expand like that. Basically the same way that like a microwave popcorn bag does. So to accomplish that, we're going to take this fold here, and that goes straight to the inside. So we've got sort of this zigzag fold here. And our goal is to make the width of the folded part about 1.5 inches. And we want the ends to be layered like directly on top of each other. So lining that up with my grid, looks like I'm a little bit over 1.5 inches. So I will just sort of zhuzh that around a little bit. We are, looks like that's just about 1.5 inches. And double check to make sure your folds are perfectly on top of each other. Does that make sense to everybody? We're gonna do the same thing on the bottom. Let's see, is this? Okay. So that's right about there. So then get a little bit more of a close up. We've got this little zigzag guy, 1.5 inches wide, and then these little folds are laying directly on top of each other. And you just kind of mess with it until you get those measurements right. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Mix the quarter about right there. Stick a pin in it. Double check that the other side is also 1.5 inches. Looks like that's still lined up. We'll put a pin in there. All right, so now we've got it pinned, how it will be at the end, and we're gonna sew the binding on, and we will sew it to the back first. I'm gonna kind of center it, line it up with the edge, and we're gonna sew 1/2 inch along this edge. And you're gonna start with where the bag actually starts, not with the beginning of the binding. So start here and we'll do 1/2 inch all the way down. Always a good idea to backstitch at the beginning and end of these kinds of seams. All right, so we did 1/2 inch seam allowance there. We're gonna fold this guy up and we'll wrap it around to the other side. Let's see, first I'll iron it flat away from the back here. And then flip it over and we're gonna fold it once and then fold it over again. And you want the edge of the fold here to just cover that last stitching line that we did. So this should be, if you made that last line at a 1/2 inch, this fold will actually be slightly more than 1/2 inch to just cover, I'll iron this, to just cover that stitching line. So we'll give that a good iron, hold it in place. And then we also have to deal with these little ends here. So I'm gonna cut mine a little bit shorter, probably about a 1/2 inch is good. And we're gonna fold those guys in towards the bag and then fold this binding closed back over top of that. Like that, and then iron it in place. And you can just kind of, if you've got, you can like see the little corner peeking out and just kind of like fold it in a little bit farther so you're not seeing those corners. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. So trimming that down to about a 1/2 inch. And then fold that guy in and then fold the binding back down over top of that and iron that in place. Right, so once you've got that ironed, you're going to top stitch very close to this edge of the binding that's closest to the bag side. And again, back stitch a little bit at the beginning and end of the seam. All right, so we've got the top stitching on and you can see that's the only seam that we're seeing on the front. We covered the last seam that we made on the back. Looks like my stitching ended up pretty much right in the ditch, which is nice. Although if you do see it a little bit, I think that's fine for the back of the bag. And then we're gonna repeat the same thing on this other side. So starting from the back, layer binding centered along the edge, and we're gonna sew a 1/2 inch. A 1/2 inch seam allowance, I should say. All right, so 1/2 inch seam allowance there. I'm gonna fold this away from the bag and iron that flat. And then we will turn it over. Not trim any. This canvas frays a bit, so I'm just kind of trimming those rogue threads as I go. And again, I'm gonna fold this once and then fold it over again. And it should be just covering your stitches. And we'll iron that in place. And then I'm going to tuck those corners in again, trimming this at about 1/2 inch. Looks like we got a couple threads here. Gotta snip first. Right. Iron those corners once we got them folded in. All right, so got that ironed down. We're going to top stitch this one the same way we did the last one, just super close to the edge here. All right, and that was our last seam. So just trim up any loose threads that you might have. Your zipper should be fully functional. Fit all sorts of fun things in here. I really like this color version of it. Yeah, so that is everything for this class. Again, the link to the blog is posted in here. So if you need to kind of remember any of the steps or to go over the dimensions again, you can look at the blog for that. I will post the link to this class in there once it's available. Next week's class, we're going to be making these. Can you switch to the other view? We're going to be making these super fun stuffed pillow star things. They're kind of hard to photograph, so I'm glad I can show you it on video. Obviously, you can make them in super obnoxious colors like this, which are very fun, but you could also do like a solid, just like make it all one color. And I think it would be like a very fun, elegant couch decoration. You can make them smaller and they're fun, like kid toy sorts of things. I've made one for my nephew that's smaller and similar, but has a lot more points. Yeah, I think there's a lot of fun options for different fabrics and things. So would love to see you next month. Looks like Tia posted a link for that class in the chat. Does anybody else have any questions before we head out? Question about this class or next class or whatever you feel like asking questions about. Thanks so much, everybody, for coming. Oh, do you want to see my jacket? I just posted this one on Instagram the other day. I'm very excited about it. She's a cute little moth. Yeah, I'm excited about that one. Anything else? Cool. Looks like nobody else has any questions. So thank you so much for coming. I always really have a lot of fun doing these. So yeah, have a beautiful evening, and I will hopefully see you next month.